Can everybody see this nice blue slide? Okay, great. So welcome to the Team Dashboards training. This is version 2 episode 2 of the trainings. I've improved it a little bit since the first one, so hopefully I will answer every single one of your questions before you even ask them. I am Lyzz Schwegler. I am one of the co-founders of Sister District, and I'm our Director of Communications. Why is the Communications Director running this training about data dashboards? Well, because I've been with Sister District, obviously, since the beginning, and in the last 6 years, I have been heavily involved with our tech department and have overseen it at points and have been, managed various pieces of our tech infrastructure. So those of you who remember Kat, our former head of tech, she's moved on. So I'm the next viable suspect to lead this training. And I've been taking the final pieces of these data dashboards over the finish line in the last couple of months. Hopefully, I think that I'll be able to answer any questions that you might have and certainly show you all the great work we've been doing. So with that, we are going to go over what is included in these new dashboards. I'm going to explain why we're transitioning. I will use some screenshots and words to explain a little bit about navigating and interacting with the dashboards, and also explain our approach to real-time data. And then we're going to move to the live walkthrough, and I'm going to show you an actual dashboard. So you're going to be able to see how it works in real time. And then we'll go over how you're going to get troubleshooting support, and also how you will share feedback or especially new feature requests and so forth with us. And then of course, how you all get access. And just to be super clear, like this is only the first version, the first iteration of these dashboards. In fact, I'll let you know right now. So, and one of the reasons that we are transitioning is because this is much, much easier for us to develop and expand and provide support for. So what data is included so far? We've got your fundraising information. So this is both individual donation records when an individual makes a donation, and also the aggregate data for your team. So like in total, how much you've raised for candidates, for state bridges, et cetera. And then this is a new feature, a leaderboard with the aggregate data from other teams. So you can see how you compare and contrast with other teams, which we're not all competitive here at Sister District, but I know that some folks are, and it can be fun to see how you're doing vis-a-vis other folks. And then of course, you'll have all the historical data for your team. And I know that some of you have been with us since the very beginning, since 2017. So there's all of that data is in there as well. Added to this dashboard, which is information that you did not have access to in NAC, is analytics from Action Network. So that would be email analytics since we made the transition to Action Network, which was now over a year ago in April of 2021. So anything from MailChimp, which was, if you've been with us for a long time, that was the platform that we had prior to Action Network. MailChimp information is not going to be in this dashboard, but everything in Action Network will be. So that includes your average open rates, click rates, unsubscribe rates, and then information for individual emails. We've also included a snapshot of your Mobilize data. It's not going to be quite as much data as you get if you actually log into Mobilize, but it's a nice little, just place to have all of your information, number of RSVPs, number of folks confirmed, et cetera, just all in one place so that you have a one-stop shop for at least an overview of the data that you are interested in. Okay, so why are we transitioning? So NAC was our old fundraising portal. It was extremely overloaded. It was deprecated. It was very unstable. We had a lot of problems with it. It was really designed, NAC was sort of like Google Sheets on steroids. It was not ever meant to be a big enterprise level solution. And we have now grown so much as an organization, which we're very, very excited about. And we've also been around. I mean, when we got started back in 2017, we couldn't even have dreamed what the next 2 years looked like, let alone the next 6 years. So here we are. We're so excited to be here, but it does mean that we have had to do a couple really big tech transitions, and this is one of them. On the flip side, this new dashboard allows for many different data sources to come in, a lot of complex visualization, and we can also update and expand these dashboards a lot more easily, which is really wonderful. And I'm just going to ask everybody to mute themselves if they haven't already. In fact, I'm just going to mute all of you for now. Okay, so navigating your dashboard. After this call, everybody is going to get an email from Mara, which will include a link to our how-to guide, which is a really, really wonderful guide that the organizing department has put together. You will also get some more information, including a feedback form, et cetera, for the dashboard. You will see when we look at the dashboard, this year's fundraising data for 2022 is all in colors. So it's blue and purple, and that's the top half of the dashboard. The historical fundraising data is gray. Excuse me, that's my dog barking at the Amazon delivery guy. So the historical fundraising data is in gray. We try to just use some colors and some visual aids to make it quickly clear what you should be looking at. And then the Action Network and Mobilize data is going to be below all the fundraising data. So there's a couple techniques that we want you to really get familiar with when navigating the dashboard. The first one is you can use filters on the top two tables, and I will show you what those top two tables are. These filters, it comes in a little drop-down menu, and that will let you filter by ref code, by date range, and by recipient. And FID code, recipient being whatever the entity is that the donations are going to. So that would be your bridges organizations, your candidates, and whether or not you have raised any money for such a district as an organization, or HQ as we like to call it. So filters, that's your number one way to interact with your dashboard. That's going to be in the upper left-hand portion of the window. Okay, next, the hamburger. And those of you who are pretty savvy users of the internet have probably heard this term before. That's what we call this little stacked line. It looks like a little hamburger, a little sandwich icon. That is going to appear in the upper right-hand corner of most of your tables. The hamburger is where you are going to find your search function and your download CSV function. So that is going to be very, very useful. It's typically going to be in the upper right-hand corner, as I say, and I think you're going to love the search function on these tables. It's very, very nice, seamless, and responsive. So always take a look out for the hamburger. Last key tip for interacting with the dashboard is the eye with a circle around it. So this is a little rollover that we have placed next to many of the tables, the titles of the tables, and it explains a little bit about what you're viewing in this table. So like for this example, there's a table of individual donation records. The real-time data, not all of the fields are filled in the first 24 hours, and they're going to be refreshed, and you'll see that slowly populate throughout the table. And if there's one key piece of information that I hope that you can all depart with after this training, it's that we have written down with words so many answers to so many of your questions. Before we rolled out these dashboards to all of you, we had, first of all, the organizing department go through and test them in an incredible amount of detail, as much as they possibly could. We made a bunch of iterations, fixes. Then we went to a few key leaders that are sort of power users of fundraising data. We asked them to test them out. We took that feedback. We iterated again. And so I can pretty confidently say that most of your questions have probably been answered either in the how-to guide or in these rollover info tabs or in some of the other text that we have on the dashboard. So be sure to just read everything. I know we all want to just like jump in and start clicking around immediately when we get a new piece of tech. At least I do, but But as soon as you run into a question, just take a moment, see if the answer is already out there. It probably is. And one of the key ways to do that is by looking for these circle eyes. Okay, so those are my top 3 notes: the hamburger, the eye, and the filters. And that is how, or here we go. There's another slide in between. So filters works on the top 2 tables, use it to filter by ref code, date, range, and recipient, the hamburger for CSVs and search, the info for rollover explanations. So that is how I came to the mnemonic that nobody asked for and is very weird, which is I love filtered hamburgers. The eye, the filters, and the hamburgers. Those are the 3 things that are going to really help you navigate these dashboards. So pausing briefly, we'll stop for questions at the very, very end, but just to sort of let your brains catch up a little bit. So we have real-time data in this dashboard, which is fantastic. However, there are a few qualifications around that real-time data. And the reason for this is because we, at this point, we have so much data flowing through our systems because we have so many amazing donations coming in. And we have so much historical data that it takes a very long time for us to refresh this data every day, every 24-hour cycle, and bringing it in real time adds some complication to that. So that's why some of these tables are going to be real time and some of them are refreshed every 24 to 48 hours. So you'll see when we get into the dashboard that there is a line that says 2022. All of the tables above that 2022 are real time, and everything below that are refreshed every 48 hours, if not sooner. That includes checks, wires, any correction, so offline donations, and then any corrections that you might have if you've ever had to reach out to Mara and say, could you please change the ref code, et cetera, on this donation. That will take at least 24 to 48 hours after you've submitted it. So obviously we have to get your request before we can input it into the system, and then it will slowly refresh through. Now, the biggest thing to know about real-time data is that individual donation records will show up with quote unquote missing fields if they were donated within the last 24 hours. The full data set is going to be refreshed and come in, within 48 hours after that. It happens at 4 a.m. every morning. So it might be sooner, but it might take the full 48 hours. I guarantee, even though I'm going to say this several times throughout this presentation, you are going to get into your dashboard, you're going to be really excited. And the first thing that you're going to notice is that there are 2 donations that are missing data. And you're going to say, oh my God, everything's wrong. What's happening here? The answer is it's expected. It's okay. It will populate soon enough. So I'm just going to say it again. What about those missing data fields? Now, here is how it looks. I've redacted some of the information just for privacy. So you're going to see these donations from Tina and below have, first name, last name, email, address, phone, every piece of information that you could need to send thank you notes, for example. These donations from Ellen, Philip, Maggie, and Teresa are all missing some donations. That's because those donations have just come in within the last 24 hours. That data is going to get filled in within 48 hours. So fake news. The fields are not missing. They haven't gone anywhere. It is not a conspiracy theory. It is not anything that's broken. It's just that missing data has come in within the last 24 hours and it will populate soon. I don't know if any of you are Always Sunny fans, but I love that GIF. Okie doke. So now we're going to move on to the demo portion, and I'm going to do that by pulling up this page. Can everybody see Sister District Sacramento? Looks good. Okay, good. I see some nodding heads. Okay, great. So this is Sister District Sacramento's real fundraising dashboard. They've been doing an incredible job so far this year. So as I told you, we've got these two tables above where it says 2022. So everything above where it says 2022 is a real-time table. That means that this $19,111 is the most up-to-date information for the Sacramento team, which is amazing, by the way. Shout out to the Sacramento team. They're total powerhouses. We love them. We love all of you. Now, first things first, the filters, like I mentioned. So filters are going to affect these top two tables only, this giant number and the purple table. And you know, one thing that we have learned, I have to say, with developing these dashboards is that this is the gold standard for many enterprise level companies. We're using an Amazon Redshift database. We're using Periscope, Size Periscope, which is a very advanced piece of software. And it's extremely powerful. What we realized very quickly is that sometimes too much of a good thing is worse. And we actually pared them back a little bit because they were too overwhelming for folks to actually interact with. So that's why we have these filters only interact with the top two tables. It just makes it a little bit simpler for everybody. So let's just, as an example, let's look at the current month in fundraising for Sister District Sacramento. So I'm going to hit apply. It's going to take a minute to cycle through. So this month, which is only 6 days, they've raised $610. That is awesome. And you can see that these individual donations also total $610. And they are, and so the filter has affected both of these two tables. The way that you are going to, then you're going to hit reset filters and again, apply. Now, let's say that you're having a event, hopefully an in-person event now that COVID is on its way out. How are you going to look at the total raised for that in-person event and be able to report out to folks and get them jazzed? You are going to go over to either the ref code, if you use ref codes, or to the FID code, which it may look more familiar to you. And you are going to say, like, let's say it looks like the Sacramento team is having a yoga class or something, which sounds delightful. You're gonna select that ref code. You're gonna hit apply, and you are going to see how much in total has been raised on that ref code. $1,005. Wow, it's a lot for yoga. I love it. And that is how you're going to be able to see how much you've raised on that ref code, or alternatively, if not a ref code, then for a FID code, which, as I said, may look more familiar to you. So you can also do it by candidate or by Bridges organization, whichever is more applicable for you at the time. Okay, so I'm going to reset this. Now you'll notice there's this big text block, which I know everybody loves to skip over reading, but if you do take a look and read it, it will remind you that the real-time donations will appear missing some fields, and that those fields will be updated within 48 hours. So just another plug to read all the text that we've given you. Okay, now here's your hamburger over here, top right. This is where you're going to search all of the data that you have available. So let's say you want to search for one single person. You can easily do that. You can also search by, let's see if you can search by recipient. You can. Okay, so you can search for all of the donations to Darren, their candidate Darren, and so forth. The search is really, really nice. And pretty seamless and instantaneous. It will also show you the total for whatever you've searched in the lower left-hand corner. And you can also, using this hamburger, download that CSV if you want to. Okay, and again, also on this this table, you'll see this the little eye with a circle around it is the rollover with even more information about that table. Okay, so moving down. So now, as I mentioned, everything underneath the 2022 is not real time. So offline donations, cash well, hopefully you don't have any cash, but checks or wires on anything that needs to be have a manual correction is going to appear within 48 hours. Like I said, it should appear sooner than that, but that is the maximum amount of time that it may take. So you'll see your total 2022 team candidate fundraising and your new candidates, which you'll be getting in just a couple weeks, will also appear here. If you've raised any money for state bridges or organizations, and then if you've raised anything for HQ, for sister district as an organization, that will also appear here. Down below here is your leaderboard, so you can see how you compare to other teams. And one thing that is really cool about every table is that you can very easily sort by just clicking the top, the column header. So super easy to see who's raised the most for each entity. You can sort by name if that is if you're looking for someone specifically. Of course, you can also search this table if you so choose as well, and which is really nice. And then we've also got the 2022 fundraising by ref code. Now I know that a lot of you don't use ref codes at all. Some of you use ref codes a lot. Some of you may be using ref codes and you don't even realize it, because Action Network loves to append ref codes like this very long one: email-weekly-newsletter-sister-district. Action Network will sometimes, if there's no ref code in your fundraising link, it will use the title or the email itself and just stick that onto the ref code, because Action Network just assumes that you want to know how much that email has raised. So if you see any funky ref codes that you're like, I didn't do this, that's what's going on. Now, you can also see the ref codes, of course, using the filters up top, but I know that some folks like to see it in a table, so we've offered that as well. Okay, so that's it for your 2022 fundraising. That's all the colorful tables. Below that, we've got our historical fundraising, your all-time fundraising total since the beginning of time, which, as I said, for many of you is a really long time with us, which is so awesome. You can see it. We've broken it down in a lot of different ways: all-time fundraising for candidates, all-time by year for various entities, etc. And then down here, you've got the all-time miscellaneous fundraising, which many of you will not, this will be a blank box, and you can always roll over and see, like, what the heck is this all-time miscellaneous fundraising? For folks that have been with us for a long time, maybe you did a little bit of fundraising for the John Ossoff and Warnock campaigns in Georgia. Maybe you've done some joint fundraisers with other organizations like Swing Left. Any of that would appear in here as well. But again, many of you will not have anything in this box. And then, of course, you can see how much we raised year over year. Obviously, 2020 was a really banner year for everybody. But you know, we are proud of our work every single year. So that's it for fundraising. I know this is a whirlwind, but I'm just going to keep powering through since it's a little bit late for folks. And we will have this training recorded, so you can always come back and look for more. Okay, email analytics. Now, as I mentioned, this is only for Action Network. It does not include any historical data from MailChimp. But here's where you're going to see the total amount that you've raised over email. Some of you are tracking that really closely, some of you are not, but the information is there for you to use if you need it or want it. You've got your open rates, unsubscribe rates, click rates, total emails sent. If you roll over, you'll see a little bit of information on what a good open rate is, and click rate and unsub rate. I'm going to tell you right now, almost every single team has a click rate that's at least 30%, if not higher. Our teams tend to have phenomenal email engagement. I know that for those of you who aren't who don't do this professionally, and by this I mean digital engagement professionally, you might think that 30% or 34% engagement is very low. I can assure you, most digital programs dream of engagement that high. So most of you, I think, are going to be really, really proud to realize just how great your email programs are running. And then you'll be able to see the performance for individual emails. All of this is, if you scroll to the right, you'll be able to see the opens, clicks, unsubscribes, etc. All of this is available in Action Network, but sometimes it's kind of hard to find it all in one place. So that's why we just ported it into the team dashboard. So hopefully that's useful. If not, you can just ignore it. And finally, at the bottom, we have your mobilized snapshot. This is, as I mentioned before, there's going to be richer data in Mobilize, but it's kind of a nice way to say, like you can sort by RSVPs, for example. You could see like how many folks do I have coming to the most popular event, or what I suspect would be more important is where are we the weakest? You could sort by, in ascending order from 0 to 1 million. You can sort by start date. Of course, you can search and look for only your phone banks, etc. So hopefully that just provides another small layer of useful data for you. Okay, now I'm going to run back. We're almost at the end of my talking, and I'm going to run back to my demo, my slideshow, and then I have a couple more slides, and then I will take your burning questions. Here we go. Okay, so now you know, and hopefully are incredibly excited to finally get access to these dashboards. Everybody that is on this call is going to receive an email from Mara with your link and your password. And as you know, hopefully you know, every team does need to send at least one representative to this training. We don't have any more live trainings, but we are recording this, and I'll have folks will have the ability to watch this training and then take a quiz. That's for anybody that's here right now. That's just if your friend on another team asks you, you can let them know that they'll have to watch a video. Other folks on your team are more than welcome to watch the video. It's not required, but they do need to request their link and password using the directory update form, which Mara will include all of this in the email that she sends to everybody after this training is finished. In terms of feedback and support, we are going to be using Slack to do all of our troubleshooting and support for the dashboards. There's a few folks on staff, myself, Mara, Aaron, there's a few different people who can help troubleshoot. And I know that when you're in the middle of an event, you don't want to sit and send an email. You want to have access to someone pretty quickly if there's a problem. So that's why we are asking everybody to be on Slack. If you are not on Slack, we'll get you there. And I have a slide after we're all finished. I'll just explain a little bit about what Slack is for those of you who've never used it before. As I mentioned before, this dashboard is just version 1. So we do have a Google form where you can suggest new features, or you can suggest stuff that you don't use and should be taken away. I mean, I'm all about decluttering. I know that a lot of this data can be overwhelming if there's too much of it. So the only thing to keep in mind is that these dashboards, we cannot customize them for your specific team. Every team sees the same view. So when you're thinking about suggesting new features, just try and think about features that might be useful to all teams, or at least the vast majority of teams, not just a really super specific use case that is potentially only useful to you. And that is pretty much it. So just so that you know about Slack, it's basically just a chat room / messaging platform if you've never used it before. There's a whole lot of information. It's going to look, this is a screenshot from the volunteer leaders channel. That's what you will see. there's tons of resources online to help you learn how to use Slack. It's pretty easy. Just like on social media, you use an @ sign to get people's attention. You can even @channel, which will notify every single person in our entire Slack space, which I really only recommend doing if you absolutely have to. But we are all on it as sister district staff, and so it is absolutely the fastest and best way to get in touch with us. And I know that Neil is really encouraging everybody to get onto Slack, both for dashboard troubleshooting and also for phone bank troubleshooting. So